So if you're planning a move to the Orlando metro area, you've probably been looking around at different communities. And number one, you might be starting to realize that first, Orlando metro is a huge area, a little over 4,000 square miles, a little over 2.5 million residents. Let's not forget that the Orlando metro area is very driven by its tourism dollars. It's a big part of our economy here. And in that industry, there's a lot of service-oriented type positions, and typically on those pay scales and stuff, most of those types of positions are not in the market for a $500,000 and $600,000 home. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to break down the top 8 most affordable cities and suburbs in and around the Orlando metro that are still great places to raise families, very affordable, and definitely some places you might want to consider if moving to the Orlando area. So stick around, don't go anywhere, get your pen and paper. We're coming right back. Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Sprenkel, your Central Florida specialist, and today we're talking about the top 8 most affordable suburbs and cities in and around the Orlando metro area that you might want to consider when moving here. And I did this video because I keep hearing it seems to be, at least over the last few weeks, a little bit more and more, is that Orlando, just their housing is crazy expensive. It's unaffordable. There's no affordable housing for anybody. And I wanted to really dissect that a little bit and dive into some of these great neighborhoods, because there are a more than just what's on this list, but there's a lot of great suburbs and cities and neighborhoods to raise a family in and around Orlando. The median price point in Orlando right now is $285,000. So there is still a lot of great houses to be found in areas to live in that are affordable for most people. And I think some of the other things that need to be taken into consideration with that when making a move to the Orlando area, especially if you're moving from out of state and you're weighing all your costs, is from the standpoint of, we have no state income tax in Orlando. We have a lot of tax benefits as well for retirees, where we got great weather here, constant sunlight. Really quickly though, if you haven't already done it, don't forget to smash that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, because you don't want to miss out on any of the awesome information-packed videos we're putting out to you guys on a weekly basis. My team and I are working with people from around the entire country who are relocating right here to the Orlando metro area, and we love it. But you got to reach out to us. You got to give us a call. You got to shoot us a text. You got to send us an email. However you like to communicate, we got your back. So the first city on our list today that we're going to talk about is Altamonte Springs. And Altamonte Springs sits inside Seminole County, just north of the Orlando area, and it neighbors along cities like Longwood and Casselberry. And what's really cool about Altamonte is that it's really got a great location and some great access points as well. You got I-4 that runs right through there, and also right off of the Altamonte exit, you have quick access to the Altamonte Mall, which has a great movie theater there, as well as the Crane's Roost area with a lot of shops, restaurants, and shopping outside of just the mall itself. Sitting only about 10 minutes north of downtown. If you're in Altamonte, you're probably only about 35 minutes away from Disney and the rest of the parks to the south of you. And then if you want to have a beach day with the family, you're only about 45 minutes away from the beaches of Deltona. Median price point in Altamonte Springs right now is about $330,000, which is significantly less than some of its neighboring counterparts like Longwood, Wekiva, which is median price point right there is about $440,000. But the cool thing about living in Altamonte, especially if you're on the more western side near that Longwood, Wekiva, is that you're going to be paying a lot less for your home, but you're still going to have access to some of the same amenities and school districts that people in the Longwood neighborhoods are also sending their kids to, like Teague Middle and Lake Brantley High School. Coming in at number 2 on our list is the Conway area, which is going to be in the South Orlando area, right near the South Downtown Orlando district that I've talked about in other videos. And what's really cool about this area is that you're just a hop, skip, and a jump away from a lot of great amenities and shoppings and restaurants in the downtown area, but you also have a great community, more established, older Orlando type of vibe. There's a lot of older construction in that area, homes that were built in the 50s and 60s, but they're well built, they're very established neighborhoods. You got some great communities with some great price points in those areas, and you have access to Lake Conway, which is a huge lake that is kind of like the centerpiece of that area, and is a great place to go and take the boat, do some fishing, and just have all sorts of family activities. And like I said, you have great access points to I-4. You're probably only about 10-15 minutes away from Disney Kissimmee, you're only about 10 minutes or less away from SeaWorld and Universal Studios. And like I said, you have downtown just to the north of you, as well as the 408, which will take you out to the 417 or the 429. The median price point in Conway right now is also about $330,000. Number 3 on our list is about as far north as we're gonna go in the Orlando metro area, and it's just inside Volusia County. I'm talking about Deltona. And as I said, Deltona is in Volusia County. It's probably only about 20 to 25 minutes south of Daytona, and it's about 30 to 35 minutes north of Orlando. And what makes this a great place to consider if you're looking for affordable housing is that you're not too far away from Orlando, and but you're also not too far away from the beaches as well. So you have a great in-between point there, but the housing is one of the lowest on our list right now. The median price point in Deltona is about $220,000. And what is really unique about this area is that there is basically like one subdivision for the most part that makes up about 95% of the houses in Deltona. So there's no HOA in there, and that can be a good thing and a bad thing depending on how you're looking at it. Some people that I run into, they think an HOA, they have no problem with an HOA. They actually think an HOA is a good thing because it maintains a certain standard within a neighborhood, or is supposed to. But then I also work with people that are completely 100% against HOAs, and sometimes depending on their price points and stuff, Deltona is a great viable option for them to consider because you don't have to worry about those sorts of things. What I will say about Deltona is that they sometimes get a bad reputation for their schools. They have some average or a little bit below average grades if you look at different sites and everything, and they're part of the Volusia County School District, which is a little bit lower on the list than say Seminole County School District when looking at comparables. However, I'm a big believer, number one, in there's a lot of things that get taught and should be taught in the home that will speak volumes inside the classroom, no matter the quality of those teachers and maybe just the overall school and everything. So there's a lot of work on our side as parents. At least that's what I believe, my wife and I with our daughter. There's also a lot of development going on in Deltona right now. There's a ton of new construction as well as commercial construction with a recent hospital that was just built. You also have the Orange City Hospital, which is just outside of Deltona, as well as a new Amazon shipping warehouse that just recently opened up last year and has created a lot more jobs for people in the area. What I also have found really interesting through the years is that even though you're probably about an hour away from Disney being in Deltona, there's a lot of people that work in that live in Deltona but work at Disney because of just the cost of living is so much cheaper in West Volusia, and the home prices are so much more below the median home prices in Orange and Seminole County. So for them, it's more cost effective to make that 50 to 60 minute commute every day versus living closer to the parks. So coming in at number 4 on our list, we're gonna head out west to Clermont. Clermont sits west of Orlando, actually inside of Lake County, and you're probably about anywhere from 25 to 40 minutes away from Orlando, depending on where you're coming from. You have great access points on the 429, which you can hop on to the 408 or catch the turnpike to take you closer to Orlando. But if you're looking for a more quieter lifestyle, maybe a little bit of land around your property, this might be an area to consider. There's a lot of properties out in Clermont that are at affordable prices where you can get anything from a half acre to a few acres of land. There is an equestrian community out there as well, if that's something that you're into, but you're still close enough to Orlando to enjoy a lot of the things that they have to offer, but you can definitely find some serene peace and quiet living out west in the Clermont area of Lake County for an affordable price. The median price point in Clermont right now is about $300,000. There's a lot of development that's going on around there. It is starting to build up more. A perfect example of some of the development that has been going on out there is Horizons West. Horizons West actually sits in Winter Garden, which is right there by Clermont, but it is a newer hospital out there from Orlando Health Central. And around that hospital, they've built up more retail stores, grocery stores, as well as new construction housing. So a great area if you're looking to be close to Orlando, but you still like the country type of lifestyle. One of the other really cool things that I love about Clermont is that they have a lot of rolling hills and rolling roadways in that area, and that's typically not something that you will find in Florida. We're surrounded by water. It's mostly a lot of flat land, but I love going out there every time that I do, because I take a lot of these roadways that just go up and down, and I enjoy it. I don't know, maybe that's the kid in me, but it's something that I really like out there. And a lot of people, that is something when I talk with them too, something that they also notice and that they enjoy about that Clermont area. Being in Clermont, you're neighboring with Winter Garden, and one of the perks about that, as I mentioned, is that Winter Garden has a lot of awesome bike trails. It's one of the things that they're known for. So I have a couple options out there if you're a bicycle enthusiast. You can take the rolling hills out in Clermont, or you can drive a quick 15 minutes into Winter Garden to hit some of their bike trails as well. So number 5 on our list, we're coming back into Seminole County, and we're actually coming pretty close to Altamonte with Casselberry. And Casselberry, like I said, is also in Seminole County. It sits just to the east of Altamonte, kind of sandwiched in between Altamonte Springs and Winter Springs. And it's kind of small and quaint, but it does have a lot of affordable housing in those areas. And what's really cool about Casselberry is that if you've never been to Lake Concord, which is right by their city hall, they have a sculpture house and a sculpture garden right inside City Hall. The City Hall that has a garden area sits right off of Lake Concord, and they, with the statues there and stuff, we were just there for Christmas a couple months ago, my daughter and I, and they put a big huge Christmas tree up, and they decorate it with lights and ornaments, and it looks really neat. But then with the sculptures that they have scattered throughout this park area, they even dressed them up in holiday clothes and in Christmas spirit. It was just really cool to go out there and see that. We had never done that before. So what's really cool about Casselberry is similar to Altamonte is you're going to pay a lot less for your home in those areas. The median price point in Casselberry right now is about $285,000, but you also are still, because you're neighboring some of these other communities and cities that have a little bit higher price points. So they're schools, and some of their also parks and things like that. You have your neighbors right there with them. You have quick access to them. You share some of the same school districts. So even though you might not be getting into a neighborhood exactly that is at a certain price point, you can still slide into some great areas and great communities in Casselberry that are nearby, like Winter Park in Winter Springs, and still have access to a lot of their schools and resources. Coming in at number 6 on our list is Kissimmee. And if you've heard me talk about Kissimmee before, I always get a little torn on this city because it sits south of Orlando. It's actually in Osceola County, and one of the positives to living in Kissimmee is that because you're in Osceola County, you're going to have lower property taxes, and also the median home price in Kissimmee is about $285,000. You're just south of the Orlando area. You're probably about 20 minutes away from downtown, and you're only about 5 to 10, 15 minutes away from Disney, depending on where you are at in Kissimmee. So if you're really into Disney, if you love Disney, and you're balling on a little bit of a budget, Kissimmee might be a great option for you. However, if you're not into the theme parks, if you're not into Disney, if maybe seeing a bunch of tourists all the time and have to deal with them and give directions, or just deal with they're driving because they're lost and they don't know where they're going, Kissimmee might not be the best place for you to consider as well. I'm not big into the tourist scene. I don't live down in Kissimmee. I kind of live on the opposite end of the Orlando metro area, but I do like to go down there sometimes with the family, because even if we don't want to hit the theme parks, there's still a lot of fun things that you can do in Kissimmee that are a lot cheaper and a lot more cost effective than just going to the theme parks. You have Old Town over there, which has a lot of great little shops and unique stores. And if you do go to Old Town during Halloween, make sure you check out their open house. We just went through it last October, my daughter and I, and she was, feeling all big and bad. She's getting older. She's almost a teenager. She thought she was, just gonna walk through this thing, no problem. And let me tell you, she squeezed my hand so hard throughout the whole thing. She would not let go. My hand probably lost all the circulation and blood to it when we went through that house. There's also another place in Kissimmee called Fun Spot, which again has a lot of different types of roller coasters and different rides and fun things to do. And it's not going to break the budget so much as places like Disney World and Universal Studios and SeaWorld. Coming in at number 7 on our list is Apopka. Apopka is a town with a lot of history, but as recently has really been up and coming. It sits on the northwest corner of Orange County and is really another great alternative to get into an affordable area, some great areas, a lot of newer construction construction and still not have to be at the higher price points of some of its neighboring cities and towns. There's a lot of newer construction that's going on in Apopka, a lot of development, especially on the northern end. There's some on the south end as well, but the northern end just seems to be popping up with all kinds of newer homes and newer developments. So you can find something that is a new build, a newer construction home, and still going to be in a pretty affordable price point. Apopka is really up and coming right now. Like I said, the town has been there for a long time. There is a lot of history. If you go through their downtown area, you can see some of the older buildings and older shops. It's really cool to look at, but there's also a lot more of commercial buildings and commercial places that are popping up for amenities, for shopping and for retail and for restaurants and things to do for the family. They're also finishing the construction on the 429 out there, which runs north and south, and that's going to be a great access point for people out that way, because that's going to run as far north into Eustis and cut across over into near I-4 north of the Orlando metro area, but then it also already runs all the way south into Disney. And you have great access points out the 429 too, to the Turnpike, as well as the 408, which will cut you right across into downtown Orlando and take you out to the other side. Number 8 on our list, and you might not have seen this one coming, I'm talking about Winter Park. There does come with a caveat on that. I'm talking about Winter Park in Seminole County. Winter Park is actually split up between Seminole County and Orange County, and what you'll find between those two areas is some pretty big differences and stark contrasts. What you'll see in South Winter Park in the Orange County area is it's kind of where Winter Park first started. That's the main hub, and their downtown area, their Park Place, which I've talked about before, and you have a lot of older homes and really established areas in there, and there's definitely some luxury communities, and the median price point in Orange County Winter Park is about $450,000. Contrast to Winter Park in Seminole County, where the median price point right now is only about $350,000, and you're going to find a lot of newer construction from 1980s to today in the Seminole County area of Winter Park, but the areas aren't as established and they just haven't caught up yet to their Orange County counterparts in South Winter Park. But again, you have access to a lot of great schools in the northern Winter Park area that also border along Winter Springs as well. So you have access to those Seminole County schools, which Winter Park High School, which is more for the Orange County side of Winter Park. What I will say is that they got a great reputation for being a fantastic public school, but Seminole County schools are some of the best in the entire state. So if moving to Winter Park is really important to you, or being close to Winter Park is really important, but maybe you have some budgetary constraints, I would definitely recommend looking into the northern part of Winter Springs, which sits in Seminole County, because you're going to pay a lot less for your house most likely, but you're still going to have great access and be super close to all the great things that people love about the south side of Winter Park as well. So guys, these certainly aren't the only cities in the Orlando metro area that are affordable. We have a lot of awesome towns and smaller cities and suburbs surrounding Orlando that are great areas for family and are super affordable. These are just some of the ones that I wanted to highlight. I've worked with a lot of families in some of these areas. I know them very well. They're all fantastic areas, but if there's anything that we missed, if there's something that maybe you want us to clarify a little bit more, drop us a comment, send us a message, definitely let us know. And if there's an area that we haven't talked about yet that you want to know more about, definitely send us a message. We'll be more than happy to go out there, shoot some video for you, and share that with you and everybody else out there who might be interested. So we love what we're doing. We're working with people from around the country who are relocating here to Orlando, and we absolutely love it. But you got to reach out to us. You got to give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, however you'd like to communicate. So until next time, I'm Don Sprenkel, your Central Florida specialist, and we got your back.